Hey, it's Anthony Meisner with Land Title. I came to bring you a Greater Denver Metro update for the month. Let's talk big picture. So if we dive into this, I think the easiest thing to look at is the market as a whole is up 40% in active units across all of Greater Denver Metro. Under contract, we're coming in at 8% year over year above this time last year. So good sign to see the under contracts continuing to roll in. But look at those average sales price numbers. They are starting to slip, largely due to drops in solds, less buyers with more inventory, right? Supply and demand is getting out of balance. So interesting to watch. Let's kind of break it down a little bit more. If you look at detached single family specifically, there are certain markets that are experiencing huge waves of inventory more than others. And it's largely probably due to the fact that places like Jefferson County or Broomfield County usually operate at razor thin inventory levels and all of a sudden are having a rising tide, right? Because just like everybody else. But that percentage changes much higher, right? Closer to 50%. The bulk of the market, Adams County, Arapahoe County, Denver County, and even into Elbert County, all around that 30% rise. So you're kind of feeling that average sort of, this is a normal situation across the board, right? Now, if we flip over to the attached single family side, this is where we're experiencing incredible changes in inventory, 50% more than there was this time last year across the whole market. And that's creating this imbalance in the marketplace. So when you look at somewhere like Adams County, 82% more attached inventory, or Jefferson County, 65% more attached inventory than it's had before, that's a tough market, right? These can be very difficult for sellers to participate in. Buyers, on the other hand, definitely have the upper hand in these situations. Now, if you look at new listings, so this is just over the course of the last month, we've had 6,900 new listings, more than the peak of this time last year, more than the peak over, well, a lot of many years in a May environment. And by looking at that, you can see just seller appetite is huge right now. The problem is the buyer demand hasn't really changed. So this is what we're experiencing. We're experiencing way more listings coming to market than we have buyers for. Now, if we look at month supply of inventory, this is just detached because detached and attached are so different. Now, 3.3 months of inventory, this is going to feel much more balanced than we've experienced in years past because we have so much more inventory. Buyer and seller, definitely more on even footing than we've seen. Now, it is definitely different from submarket to submarket. You still have under 3 months of inventory in Broomfield and Jefferson County, even with their increase in inventory levels. So we are still feeling faster paced markets there, but everybody else is very similar, right? If we look at attached market, this is that dynamic difference between the two. 5.2 months of inventory across all of Greater Metro Denver. It was only 3 last year. This is a staggering difference. It's going to feel like a buyer's market out there, right? People are going to be, you're going to see price drops. You're going to see, people come in and negotiate really hard. You're going to see a lot of concessions. This is all stuff to expect in the attached market. Look at the city of Denver. Denver counties is at 7 months of inventory. Most of them are in the 4s, but there are definitely some anomalies here, and you really want to watch this one because this is a very difficult market for sellers right now. Now, if we look at their days in MLS, this tells the story as well. Look at detached, 29 days in MLS. Most of them are in the 30s, so they're still moving pretty quickly. Jefferson County, even with the added inventory, is only 19 days on average in MLS to under contract. So this is a really fast-paced market, but 29 days. On the flip side, you've got the attached market at 44 days. This is really feeling sluggish, right? We have so much inventory. You don't have as many buyers. That's a 46% increase from this time a year ago. We went from 30 to 44, 2 weeks more under contract time than we would have seen otherwise. And that's assuming it's priced well, because if it's not a priced well, it's probably sitting on the market even farther. And to kind of take the cake, the Broomfield market has 72 days in MLS. So it could definitely be worse, right? Now, if we look at this one, I'll put everything back together, our actives and sold price by price range here, you can see the ultra luxury, that 3+ million market, is doing better than it did this time last year. If you've got cash is king, and it seems to be people are interested in parking that in real estate right now. The 2 to 3 million market, where you have really big jumbo loans in many cases, is struggling. Cost of money is tough. People have all this uncertainty. You're seeing that really from 1 to 3 million because the 1 to 2 market is down a little bit as well. Now, our bread and butter of the market feels very similar to last year, right? So 600, well, really 800 to a million is up just a little bit. Everything else is down just a little bit in solds. And this is just where we're still kind of trudging through this difficult market, right? So this part of the market still feels very similar to where it was last year, that median and average sales priced homes. So we are selling a lot. We just have a lot more inventory coming to market across all those price ranges and actives, from under 800,000. You're talking 30-40% increase in active units. So there's a lot to go look at. This is a great sign if you're a buyer. I think this is a great time to go out and shop. The one thing that you can see very differently from detached and attached is how much inventory and where it is and how fast the market's moving. So if you look at detached, you're looking in the 20 to 30 range for most of the markets, especially under 2 million. The luxury price ranges, big difference here. 2 million, 52 days, 3+ million was 67 days last month, but you got almost 12 months of inventory, 3+ million, right? So don't be surprised, right? Obviously, less people qualify for those homes. There's a lot more of them on the market. They take longer to sell. This is very normal. This is what it should look like, though, right? It should be a stair step from the lowest price ranges where we're talking about 1.66 months of inventory from 3 to 399, where it slowly stair steps up because you have less and less buyers the higher you get in price. Now, if we look at it in attached, this is the hard part, right? This is what you don't want to see. You don't want to see everything has 4.5, 5 months of inventory, and the luxury is basically just in line with the other luxury market. And we have the basically those average days in MLS in the 40s. So this is a tough market, right? You can definitely use these separately with a client. I always like to say, look, if you got a 400 to 499 house that's coming on the market, let's just say it's a townhouse somewhere, right? And we've got 4.5 months of inventory. It's going under contract in 41 days. We would definitely need to price it, fairly competitively to even get those type of numbers again, because you have so much competition, right? Very different than the detached market where it seems like buyers are still fighting over those lower end homes. Now, if you look at it by average sales price, that all of that talk about month supply of inventory is really what dictates the price change, right? Because when you have more inventory, especially in your detached single family home market, we've still seen the stability, right? 3 months of inventory, it's stable, it hasn't changed a lot. Year over year, we're up 1.6% sales price, right? So we're at $800,000 average across the greater metro Denver area. Certain markets, on the other hand, are changing more rapidly than others. But, Arapahoe taking the cake at 6% year over year change, Broomfield at 4%, Elbert at 5.8%. Only a couple of them have suffered. It's Adams County and Douglas County have seen just a slight drop, just about 1%. Now, if you look at the attached market, this is the tough part of the market. Denver had so much inventory, and now it's had a 10% price drop in average sales price. And you've seen this over the last couple of years. As there's more inventory, HOA dues are rising. You're just seeing less affordability, and it really is causing prices to start to fall. We've been talking about this for a while, but even a place like Broomfield is down 7%. Adams County, though, still staying strong at 2.9% increase over this time last year. Jefferson County, 6.5% drop average sales price. So average sales price is suffering in attached, and that is definitely a hard pill to swallow, but it is definitely what we're dealing with. Because of that, you can see the solds, right? So if you compare this to last year, year over year, we're up 3% in total sales in our detached single family homes. Most of that is taking place in places like Elbert County, Douglas County, Jefferson County. If you're in Denver, it's very stable. Broomfield has actually had to slow down by about 5%. And if you look at the attached market across the board, this has been really hard, right? As prices have started to dip, people are steering away from this market more. They might be moving more into the detached market, but we're seeing 9% less sales year over year than we did before. Year to date, almost the same thing, almost 9% less sales. Broomfield's down 20% sales. Denver's down 18% sales. Douglas County, minus 16% total sales. The only one that has had more sales than this time last year was Jefferson County. But keep in mind, remember how much inventory it had. There's probably some deals to be had, so people are actually purchasing more so than they did previously. That's a tough one. But last thing I wanted to share with you is just percentage listed sale price. You can see just the integrity in the detached single family home market, 99.5% listed sale price. Obviously, it changes by price range a little bit and by county, but this is really, this is the heart and soul of the real estate market. So it's great to see that it has so much stability still. Now, if you look at the attached market, it's not horribly off, but remember, concessions, price drops, none of that's factored into this number, but it is 98.8%, and it's about 0.5% less than it was this time last year. So way, way more competitive from the seller's perspective, right? Buyers can go get a deal here, but with prices falling like they are, I think they're hesitant to go do so. So if you reach out if you have any more questions, you need any other localized data or information. This is Anthony with Lane Title. Catch you next time.